When we look at the narrations and Hadiths together with the Quranic verses, we see how great Umar's influence on the Quran was. So much so that some verses were revealed based on conversations between Umar and Muhammad, situations in which they disagreed, and God revealed Umar's views as if he were right. In other words, Umar was a very influential person for Muhammad and his followers. One of the examples of this is the incident of Qirtas, also known as the pen and paper incident. According to this incident, which is recorded in the Kitab al-Sittah, which is considered the most reliable source after the Quran, when the Prophet of Islam was on his deathbed, he asked those around him for pen and paper. According to the narrations, the reason he wanted to write something before he died was to prevent Muslims from going astray after his death, but Umar prevented Muhammad from writing. This is why Shiites have reacted to and criticized Umar throughout history. Because, in their view, if he had not been prevented by Umar, he would have willed Ali to be the caliph. That is what he would have written. Let us now look at the narrations in the Islamic sources on this subject. A narration in Bukhari reads as follows. When the time of the death of the Prophet approached, while there were some men in the house, and among them was Umar bin al-Khattab, the Prophet said, "Come near, let me write for you a writing after which you will never go astray." Umar said, "The Prophet is seriously ill, and you have the Quran, so Allah's book is sufficient for us." The people in the house differed and disputed. Some of them said, "Come near so that Allah's messenger may write for you a writing after which you will not go astray," while some of them said what Umar said. When they made much noise and differed greatly before the Prophet, he said to them, "Go away and leave me." Ibn Abbas used to say, "It was a great disaster that their difference and noise prevented Allah's messenger from writing that writing for them." Another narration is as follows. Ibn Abbas said, "Thursday, what great thing took place on Thursday?" Then he started weeping till his tears wetted the gravels of the ground. Then he said, "On Thursday the illness of Allah's messenger was aggravated, and he said, 'Fetch me writing materials so that I may have something written to you after which you will never go astray.'" The people present there differed in this matter, and people should not differ before a prophet. They said, "Allah's messenger is seriously sick." The Prophet said, "Let me alone, as the state in which I am now is better than what you are calling me for." The Prophet on his deathbed gave 3 orders saying, "Expel the pagans from the Arabian Peninsula, respect and give gifts to the foreign delegates as you have seen me dealing with them." I forgot the 3rd order. Another narration of the same incident reveals why Muhammad resented what was said about him. Some of them said of Muhammad, who wanted to write, "What is wrong with him? Do you think he is delirious? Ask him to understand his condition." Some narrations say that they said, "Allah's messenger is in the state of unconsciousness." Muhammad then expelled them from his presence, and it is clear from the narrations that it was Umar who caused this argument. After his statement, some of them similarly objected to Muhammad's desire to write something down. A narration in Ibn Said, which is different from the others in terms of narration, tells the story of Umar's opposition to Muhammad's writing, again supporting the narrations in Bukhari, Muslim, and other sources. "We were with the Prophet, may Allah bless him, and there was a screen between the women and between us. The Apostle of Allah, may Allah bless him, said, 'Wash me with 7 water skins and bring something to write upon and an inkpot. I shall write a document for you, and you will never be misguided till eternity.' The women said, 'Bring to the Apostle of Allah, may Allah bless him, what he wants.' Umar said as to them, 'Keep quiet. You are his companions when he is ill and you shed tears, and when he is healthy you hold him by his neck.' Thereupon the Apostle of Allah, may Allah bless him, said, 'They are better than you.'" In addition, it is worth noting that in a narration in Ibn Said, the person in the incident is Ali and not Umar, which is inconsistent with the narrations in the more reliable al-Sunnah sources and the narratives of Muhammad's death. It reads as follows. Verily, when the condition of the Apostle of Allah grew severe, he said, "O Ali, bring me a leaf, on which I shall write something to guide my people who will not be misguided after me." He, Ali, said, I feared he would breathe his last before I came back. So I said to him, I shall retain better in memory than the leaf. Ali said, his head was between my forearm and upper arm, and he began to give instructions and enjoined upon us the performance of prayers, the payment of zakah, and kind treatment of what your right hands possess. Ali said, he was in this condition when he breathed his last. He had ordered to bear witness that there was no God but Allah, and that Muhammad was his servant and apostle. Then he breathed his last. He who bears witness to them, the hell-fire is prohibited from consuming him. But, as you can see, all the Sunni Hadith sources, like Bukhari and Muslim, which are considered more reliable, refer to him as Umar. It is unclear what Muhammad wanted to write, but the Shia view is that he was going to write that Ali would be caliph, and Umar prevented him from doing so. This led to a growing hatred of Umar among the Shiites over time. Based on the narratives of Muhammad's death, it is said that he died a few days after this event, and that he probably should have verbally informed the people of whatever it was that he could not write during this time. But if we are talking about who would be the caliph, the narrations do not indicate that he made a clear statement before his death. For example, there is the following narration. Aisha said, the Messenger of Allah, prayers and peace of Allah be upon him, said to me in his fatal illness, I feel like calling Abu Bakr and your brother and write a statement to appoint the former as my successors. I fear that people should say something or wish for something and that someone would say, I am worthier of being a caliph, and Allah the believers will insist on Abu Bakr becoming a caliph. According to this narration, he does not choose a caliph, and he does not give any explanation by saying, the people will choose Abu Bakr anyway. If he had said, the caliph will be this person, he could have prevented many political conflicts and Muslims killing Muslims after his death. There are two narrations that are very important for the Shiites' claim and the Qirtas incident. According to the first narration, during Muhammad's illness, Abbas, Muhammad's uncle, made some attempts to ensure that the presidency would stay among the children of Hashim. For this reason, one day, when Ali came out of Muhammad's presence, he inquired about his illness and said, in 3 days you, by Allah, will be ruled by somebody else, and by Allah, I feel that Allah's apostle will die from this ailment of his, for I know how the faces of the offspring of Abdul Muttalib look at the time of their death. So let us go to Allah's messenger and ask him who will take over the caliphate. If it is given to us, we will know as to it, and if it is given to somebody else, we will inform him so that he may tell the new ruler to take care of us. Ali said, by Allah, if we asked Allah's apostle for it and he denied it us, the people will never give it to us after that. And by Allah, I will not ask Allah's messenger for it. The second narration is as follows. I asked Ibn Abbas, did the messenger of God make a will? No, he replied. I asked, how was that? He replied, the messenger of God asked for Ali, but Aisha said, I wish you had asked for Abu Bakr. Hafsa said, I wish you had asked for Umar. So all of them gathered before the messenger of God. He asked them to disperse, for he would call them if there should be any need, and they went away. Given all this, it is clear that when Muhammad was on his deathbed, those around him were concerned about who would be the caliph and wished to hold this powerful position. Considering the narration that when Muhammad sent for Ali, Aisha and Hafsa sent for their fathers, and when they came, Muhammad sent them all away, one can think of dozens of possibilities that could have happened. Of course, we should not forget the hadiths praising Abu Bakr. On the other hand, Allah sent verses when Muhammad fought with his wives, when he forbade his concubine to himself, or when Jews ridiculed him. For some reason, he did not send a verse on a more important issue that could cause big problems, namely, who will be the caliph. I appeal to fellow Muslims, put your hands on your conscience, think really wisely, and answer sincerely, which is the more important issue. 1. Muhammad forbade his concubine Mariah and tried to divorce some of his wives. 2. Who will take over the imamate and caliphate after his death, and who will take over the administration? Which one is more important? There are verses about wives and concubines, but not about the caliphate, which is far more important and will determine the fate of the religion and the believers. Can there be such a holy book? When one remembers that the Quran was barely pieced together years after Muhammad's death, one is tempted to ask again, can there be such a holy book? When we look at the narrations about the incident of Qirtas, some questions need to be asked. 1. Why did Umar prevent Muhammad from writing? 2. Some of his companions say things like, "Do you think he is delirious? I thought Muslims were supposed to honor and humble the Prophet." Or, when they saw that he had fallen into bed, did they loosen up and start approaching those whom they considered strong? 3. Many narrations state that while Ali was attending Muhammad's funeral, Abu Bakr and Umar were dealing with the caliphate, and then Abu Bakr was declared caliph. In this case, is it not normal for the Shiites to think that Ali would be the caliph but that he was wronged? 4. Surah An-Najm verse 3 says about Muhammad, "He does not speak from his own desire." However, if the narrations of the Qirtas incident are true, does it not follow that Umar did not actually believe in Muhammad, but sided with him for the balance of power? 5. How do you explain the fact that Allah did not send a command on such an important issue? Do you find it logical?